is your local election headquarters. Tonight, Democratic candidates in the 2nd Congressional District, they face off right here in a live debate. 12 News political analyst Joe Fleming joining us live this half hour. Thanks for joining us to talk a little bit more about this. This is a huge race, of course. So the polls, as we've been telling you, show Seth Magaziner with a large lead. You were here with us last Friday talking about tonight's debate. And you had said the other candidates would need to identify themselves as an alternative to Magaziner because of that. So what would they have to do?
Well, they have to show a difference between themselves and Magaziner. Magaziner is the best known candidate running right now. That's why he has such a large lead in the polls. If the other candidates could come up with some issues where they differ from Magaziner and get people's attention, they always could have a shot. Our poll shows a large number of undecided voters. So if one of them could really move forward and become an alternative, the race could tighten up. But right now, Seth Magaziner has a comfortable lead.
And what does Seth Magaziner have to do to hold on to that? Because that's also part of the factor.
He has to make sure he has no slip-ups tonight at all. He has to be polished. He has to be forward. But at the same time, he has to be careful. He doesn't want to go too far to the left because you're going against Alan Fung in the general election. And Alan Fung is more of a moderate-type Republican. So if you go too far to the left, that could hurt you. So I think you're going to see Seth Magaziner probably stay on the issues, stay with the strong points, talk about the environment, talk about keeping the Democrats in control of Congress.
We're 2 weeks away from the primary. Do you continue to be surprised by the undecided percentage?
Yes, it seems that the people right now are not focused in on this election. Everybody I speak with says that. They're saying people aren't really paying attention. I don't know when it's going to start. I was thinking back in June, July, August, it just never really got moving. The early voting as of yesterday was only at 2,500 people. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of turnout we have on September 13th.
Meanwhile, Alan Fung is going on the air today with his first television ad. Does that help him, knowing that he doesn't have a primary coming up?
Well, Alan Fung wants to get out there early on. Alan Fung wants to establish himself. He wants to be an alternative to the Democrats that are all running. So I think right now Alan Fung is using his money to keep his name out there and not get pushed back with all the other ads from the Democrats at this time.
Our political analyst, Joe Fleming. We have a big night ahead of us. We'll see more of you, of course. Thanks for joining us at 4:30. Again, to break it down for you, the Democratic candidates in the...
Matt, thank you. 12 News is your local election headquarters. For the Democrats in the running to replace longtime Rhode Island Congressman Jim Langevin will face off live in our studio tonight. Joy Fox, Seth Magaziner, Sarah Morgenthau, and David Siegel will try to sway voters from right here in our studios. And joining us now is 12 News political analyst Joe Fleming. Joe, always nice to see you. This is your time of year, I guess. The polls show Seth Magaziner, obviously, he's got a huge lead. You were here last week talking about what they had to do. All of these candidates are progressive.
Yes, they are.
So how do they separate themselves
from each other? Well, that's part
of
their problem. They're all very progressive. They agree on a lot of the issues, maybe how to deal with the issue a little bit differently. I think what they're going to do tonight to separate themselves is try to convince the voters that they are the best one to defeat Alan Fung in the November election. Because the Democrats are looking to have somebody that's strong enough to defeat Alan Fung, and I think these candidates believe if they can separate themselves, from the others, they can gain ground on the front runner, who is Seth Magaziner at this time.
So in our 12 News poll, he had 37% of the vote. The other candidates were in the single digits. Time is running out. How are they going to catch up?
Well, that's the problem they have. There's only 14 days to the actual voting starts on Election Day, and I'm not sure there's enough time for them to catch up. They have to really come up with something tonight. One of these candidates have to stand out from the other 3 candidates to get the voters to start to go to them. The one chance they do have, there's a very large undecided block of voters in this race right now.
Joe, we're seeing that really across the country, that undecided now is a huge block. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think people really, especially in Rhode Island, have not focused in on the elections this year. We've seen that all the way through the spring and the summer. They have not really paid a lot of attention to what's going on. I think the economy is the thing that's driving the people, COVID a little bit from before, but I think the economy is the main thing. They're more concerned about the cost of living than they are with the politics right now.
So Republican Alan Fung hits TV today with his ads. They brought up his name. Seth Magaziner and Joy Fox especially have been using Alan Fung. He is not in the primary. Why are they talking about him?
Well, they're talking about him because they know he's the person they have to go after. The 2nd Congressional District is more independent than the 1st Congressional District. So Alan Fung, the former mayor of Cranston, would have a better chance in that district. They want to identify Alan Fung as a very right-wing politician, tying in with Donald Trump and McCarthy. So if they can do that, that's going to help them. So they're right now trying to position themselves as the best candidate to take on Alan Fung.
So is his name going to come up in this debate tonight?
I would expect his name to come up quite a bit tonight in this debate.
So any surprises tonight?
I think, again, if one candidate could stand out from the other candidates, that would be the biggest surprise tonight, because so far in this election, no one has stood out except for Seth Magaziner, who's leading in the polls.
All right, Joe, as always, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Shannon? And you can watch the debate live right here on WPRI.